Okay, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to do the head shape for the bear and the bunny rabbit. We're going to be putting those head shapes on the same hexagon doll body that we had done in the previous video, so we're not going to show that in this one. All we're going to show is the head shapes. I'm going to be doing the head shape for the bunny in the video, but I've already gone ahead and done the one for the bear. Maybe I should have done them backwards, because in this one I had to change colors after the first few rounds, and in the bunny you don't have to do that. So in this case for the bear we have a little snout for him, so that's why I changed the colors. You can do it whatever way. You can have a white bear head with a blue snout, or whatever colors your color theme you're using. But in this video I'm not going to change colors for the rabbit. It's just got one color in the face. So to get started, what you're going to need is a 4-ply or a number 4 weight yarn, and this is some leftover that I had from a what is that, a Red Heart Comfort ball that one of those great big giant balls I bought. And you need a small amount of black yarn for the sewing in the features. You're going to need your stitch marker. I use this to count my rows. You can use a piece of paper and write them down if you'd like. I need a needle to sew in the ends, scissors, and for this one we're going to be using the 3.5mm hook. Doesn't show very well on my hook, but we're just going to jump in and get started. And for the bunny head, we're going to make a magic circle. And we're going to do 6 single crochets in our magic circle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Tighten it right up. I like to give it a little knot. I'm just going to be hiding the end inside the circle, so I don't want it to loosen up later on. So I give it a nice little tug and a knot. So that was for round 1. For round 2, we're going to be doing 1 single crochet, and then we're going to increase in the next stitch, and we're going to repeat that all the way around. So I'm going to start with my first single crochet. I'm going to put my stitch marker, and then we're going to get started with an increase, and then 1 single crochet, and then an increase, and put my stitch marker in there very well. 1 single crochet and an increase, and continue this. And at the end of this round we're going to have 18 stitches. So single crochet, then an increase, single crochet, and then in the last one we're going to do an increase. Get my stitch marker got a little wonky that time. So that was the end of round 3. In round 4 we're just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around, and we should have 18 stitches. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. And that's the end of round 4. So round 5, if you were making the bear, this is where you would be changing colors, but because we're making the bunny, we're not changing colors. In this round we're going to do 2 single crochets, and then we're going to increase, and we're going to repeat that all the way around. So I'll do the first one. And this one I'll show the whole round, and then after that I'll stop the cameras, because we're going to increase all the way up to 4 single crochets before we have to do the increase. It gets a little long. So this time it was 1, 2 single crochets before the increase. 1, 2, and then the increase. 1, 2, increase. My other videos turned out so long because I keep showing every little stitch and blabbing through them all, so I'll try and keep this one a little bit shorter. There's 1, 2, and then we increase. 1, 2. I don't know how clearly you can see my stitches here, but, and that's the increase, and that's the end of round 5. So for round 6, we're just going to increase again, but this time we're going to do it after every third stitch. So you do 3 stitches and then you increase. So that's 1, 2, 3, and then increase. So you go ahead and finish that round, and I'll meet you back here when we're done. Okay, that was the end of round 6. So now for round 7, we're going to increase again. We're going to do 4 single crochets before we increase. So I'll start off again. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then increase in the next one. Continue that all the way around, and I'll meet you back here when you're done. Okay, that's the end of round 7. For round 8, I thought it would be too big of a ball or a circle if I did the 5 single crochets before I increase, but I still wanted a couple of more stitches. So in this round, we're going to do single crochet 11 before we do an increase. So I might as well just do the whole round here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then an increase, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then one more increase. We should have 12 stitches left here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, oops, 9, 10, 11, and then in the last stitch we're going to do an increase. So that was the end of row 8. So now for rows 9 through 15, we're just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch around. And now I'm going to, I guess I could have started my row counter before, but I'm going to put up to 7, 8. I'm at row 8. Now I'm just going to do a single crochet in each stitch around for rows 9 through 15, and then I'm going to meet you back here. So go ahead and do that and unpause when you're done. Okay, I'm back and I have my 15 rows. Something occurred to me when I was doing my 15 rows because I couldn't remember if I hit the stitch counter or not, but just in case you might need to know, if you ever lose track of where you are, you can always count how many rows up you are by you can see the little lines here. So what you do is you go back a few stitches back past your stitch marker so you don't get caught up in that little beginning swirl here, and then you just count each row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and that's how I can tell I have my 15 rows. So now we're just going to continue with row 16, and in this case we're going to start decreasing around, and what we're going to do first is we're going to decrease those extra 3 stitches that we put on there. So we're going to do 11 single crochets and then 1 decrease. I'll stay on the row here with you. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, oops, 11, and then to decrease you can do one of 2 ways. You can just do in the slip into the front stitch. It makes it a little bit neater, but the way I do it is I'm going to just do the first single crochet, you pull the yarn through, but you don't take it off the hook. You go in the next single crochet, pull the yarn through, and then you go through all 3 loops on the hook, and that's a decrease. So then we're going to do 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, and then we're going to do another decrease. And then the last stitches, we'll do 11. And 11, and then the last 2 stitches we're going to do a decrease, and that's the end of row 16. Now we're going to decrease again, and this time we're going to do 4 single crochets before we decrease. And what we're doing is we're closing up the back of the head, and we're trying to make it so that it's a nice round ball and it's not just flat. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and decrease, and you can continue that all the way around, and I'll meet you back here when you're done. Okay, I'm back around at the end of row 17. Now we're going to do row 18. In row 18, we're just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So just go ahead and do that round and come back when you're done. Okay, that's the end of row 18. Now we're going to do row 19. In this case, we're going to start decreasing again. We're going to decrease one less every time around now till the end. So this time, last time we did 4, this time we're going to do 3 single crochets before we decrease. So that's 1, 2, 3, and then I'll do my decrease. And you can continue this all the way around and meet me when you're done. That was 3. Okay, it's getting a little faster every time you go around now because we're getting so many less stitches. But the next round of decrease for around 20 is we're going to do 2 single crochets before we decrease, and that's going to leave us with stuffing after this. So 2 single crochets, 1 decrease, and then come back when you're done. Okay, now I'm back. We're going to do some stuffing now, so I'll pull the loop up a little more so we can make some elbow room here for the stuffing. It takes quite a couple of handfuls here to fill up this little ball. I like it to be a nice firm ball. It's not too flimsy. Oops, let me get underneath. And as I'm putting it in there, I'm trying to curl it around the ball to give it some shape in there. Give it a nice push in there so it's firming it up, and you can see while you're doing it if it's going lopsided or not. Kind of check it as you go. We are going to put another bit of stuffing in after we do the next round. Let's see, I'm going a little lopsided here. I'm going to make that be enough for this round. Give me a good size shape. So now the next round of decreases, we're only going to do 1 single crochet, and then we're going to decrease. In this round, I'm going to just stay on for the whole thing so I can show you my finger placement and whatnot. So in this case, we're going to do our first single crochet, put my stitch marker, and because the stuffing's in there now, I do pull a little tighter because I don't want this last section to be pulled open. I want it to be as tight, well, it's not going to be as tight as that, but it's tight like that. And I'll show you how I do that. And I put my fingers in behind so I don't pick up the stuffing as I'm coming along, but I'm going to do my decrease, and I pull it a little bit tight and hold the stitches a little bit closer together the whole way around so it doesn't pull too much, because it does tend to get stretched out a little bit no matter how hard you try. single one, and the decrease, and a single one, decrease again, and single crochet, and then the last decrease. And after this round, we're going to be doing 2 single crochets together. So I'm going to take my stitch marker out now. It's getting too small to have anything in the way. And now is a good time to get some more stuffing in there. So give, oh, might be too much at one time. The hole's much smaller now to put the stuffing in. And I'm trying to keep as much as I can up at this part to make this rounded. I don't want it to be, I'm not shoving it all the way back down in there again. Just at the very edge here. And then just give a feel if it's got a nice firm shape to it. A little bit of stuffing trying to come out. And now this last round we're going to do, as I said, just 2 single crochets together all the way around, and it should be approximately 6 times that we do that. Sometimes there's a little opening at the end and you might want to do an extra 2 together, but we'll just count it out here. So decrease, and try and squeeze a little bit as you go. That's, oops, not holding my stuffing back very well. That's a decrease. And that's a decrease. Oh, didn't go about that the right way. So decrease, you can see the hole's getting so much smaller, but my stitches are a little bit farther apart, even though I'm giving it a good little tug. Squeeze it together, do whatever you have to. Oh, I think that was 4. 5, and then the last one. I was talking too much. I don't know if this is 6 or 7, but I'm going to do the last one like this. And you see you're going to be putting the needle in and out of there too to close it up. So the way I finish is I do, looks like I do a little chain 2. And in this case, you don't need a long tail because we're not going to be using this string to sew it on the body. So just about 5 or 6 inches will help you have some extra tail to tie in there. And then you end up with this little bit of a, I don't know what you want to call that, but a little knobby thing here. And what I'm going to do to get rid of that is I'm going to go right in with my needle for the first time, go through the stuffing and come back out here. And then you can give this time you can give it a good little tug to try and pull your knot inside. You're going to go right back out again and come up close to it, loosely this time because you don't want to have a dimple here. And then I'm going to go right back in the middle of that circle again and come back out. And that way you can give it an extra little tug. Then just do a couple of loose times through the stuffing before we tie off the last of it here. And in this case, this is the bunny, so this end can be the end that you sew down on top of the body. Give an extra little tug, and there you go. That's the base of the head for the bunny. We're going to do the features. I'm going to do the features for both the bunny and the bear in this video because they're both the same base shape. So I'm going to show you both, but because we're working on the bunny first, I'm going to do the features for that. Some black for the eyes and some pink for the nose, and I'm going to make the ears for this bunny because I've already made the body for it. It's going to be this color. I had some leftover Bernat Premium, so I like the tone of this color, so I'm going to make the ears out of that. I've already started a little body for that one, so we're just going to jump right in. We're going to need our stitch counter again, so I'm going to clear the number. And we're going to make the ears. So again, we're starting with a magic circle. And we're going to do 6 single crochets in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We're going to close it up. In this case, this is the tip of the ear, so I like to make sure it's tied tightly so that that little center is not going to pull open. My stitch marker here. So in our first round, we're going to only do 1 single crochet and then increase all the way around. So I'm going to start back 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. So I'm going to start in this stitch. I'm going to use my stitch marker all the way around here in this guy. So that was 1 single crochet, and then in the next stitch we're going to increase. Sometimes it's hard to tell when they're pulled. If you're going in the next stitch or going back in the same one, I have to always keep a close eye because I've done it before. So that was an increase. That was 1 single crochet, then an increase, then 1 single crochet and an increase in the last stitch. And that's the end of round 2. In round 3, we're going to be doing 2 single crochets before we increase. So we're going to start here with my 1, mark it. That's 2 single crochets. Make sure that you're kind of poking it out as you go too. You want it to make sure it pokes out this way and not inside out. Now we're going to increase. One single crochet, 2 single crochets, and then an increase. 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets, and then we increase. For round 4, we're just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch around. And this way it makes it not too round and not too pointy. Next round, we're going to do 3 single crochets and then 1 increase. We're going to repeat that around. I'm trouble with my thumb today. There's 1, 2, 3, increase. 1. I like the ears to be big and floppy. 2, 3, and increase. 1, 2, 3, and increase. In the next round, we're going to do 4 single crochets, and then we're going to increase. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're done with an increase. And of course the last increase round, I should say we're at round 7 here. The last increase round is we're going to do 5 single crochets before we increase. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, increase, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and increase, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going to increase. And that's the last increase round for the ear. Now we're going to do a single crochet. We're starting at round 8. We're going to do a single crochet in each stitch around from rounds 8 to 19. So it's a lot. It's going to make our ear long. So just go ahead and do one single crochet in each stitch around. Let me get my stitch marker back here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'll meet you back here after row 19. Okay, I'm finished with row 19. Now we're going to start with row 20. In row 20, we're going to begin with a decrease. And to start off with, we're going to be doing 5 single crochets before we decrease. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then decrease. The next round we're going to do 4 single crochets before we decrease. So since we're getting fewer stitches, I'll just keep the camera on here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then decrease. And that's the end of round 21. In round 22, we're just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch around. Oops, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, and 15. And on our last round, round 23, we're going to do 3 single crochets, and then we're going to decrease for the entire round. And then that's going to be the end of our ear. So that was 1, 2, 3, and then decrease. 1, 2, 3, and then decrease. 1, 2, 3, and then the last decrease. And then at the end of this round, we're going to just do a slip stitch into the next stitch and then tie it off. And we're going to be using this tail to sew the ear onto the head, so we're going to leave a little bit of extra to sew with. I usually leave a little bit too much. You can just leave 10 or 12 inches there. It's plenty. I tend to get carried away when I do these things. And that's ear number 1. Now you're going to make ear number 2. Okay, I'm back and I've finished both of my ears. Now I'm going to be assembling the bunny. And what we're going to do first, we're going to need the black yarn for sewing in the eyes. We're going to need a little piece of pink yarn to make a nose. And what I start out with is to mark the spot where I'm going to want the ears to go. So before I do the face, I always do the ears first, and that's only because sometimes you can be off kilter a little bit with the eyes, so I like to just do the ears first. And they should be placed approximately 3 rows back, 1, 2, 3, from the center ring. We're going to focus the ears around the center ring. And again, because we started out with a little bit of a spiral, it's kind of hard to count sometimes. You might be off 1 stitch on one side, depending on where you have the ball turned around to. So I'm going to go back from the center here. I'm going to go back 1, 2, 3, and I'd like the first ear to be right here, and I'm going to stick it in this stitch, leave 2 stitches in the middle, and then come through the back. That's a little bit more narrow than what the ear is, but the ear is going to go around this. So then I'll take the next marker, and I just use a little piece of black thread to mark approximately where I want the ears to go. Saves me from sewing them in crooked, which I've done several times. So we're going to start at the circle here. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, and then in this same round, it's the same, try to use the same circle around and approximately straight across. I'm going to do the same marking. I like the ears to be high up on the head. They might be, I might have marked them a little close to the front. I might actually, no, they're fine. They're right in the center. So now what we're going to do is we're going to sew the ears on. Because the ears have a little opening, when I sew them on, I like to close them up first. You can do it one way or the other. You can sew through both sides of this as you're sewing it on, or you can close it first. I'm going to go stop my cat from meowing. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I think I'm getting into cat dinner time here. So I'm going to sew my ear closed a little bit. I'm just going to go back and forth a little bit here. And there we go. So now I'm going to place the ear. I want it to flop this way. I'm going to place it on either side of the black string that I've marked it with, and I'm just going to jump right in and start sewing it on. And then the first stitches are a little fussy because everything's a little loose, but if you give it a good little tug, I'm just going through both stitches again and then along the same line as where my black marker is. Just in and out and in and out. Because I could have turned the ear down on the other side. I got my knot there. I'll have to try and work that in somehow. Try and pull that through. Well, I'm going to go right on the other side of this marker. And take the marker out now. Try and give it a little tug this way. And then what I do, I like to flip it over and then sew it on the way back as well. So I'm going to go through the back and just catch a couple on the way back just to give it a double strand through. Sorry, my cat came in the room with me and he's chewing my yarn. put him down on the floor here. It's just a kitten, so he has lots of learning to do. And come up around the side and try and pull this right through the side here to stretch it out a little bit and make it look nice and wide. And go back through here and make my little knot. Not as tight as I can. If you haven't met me before, I'm a big fan of knots. And then I'm going to hide the yarn through the head. So I'm going to go right back in the same spot where we came out of last. And I'm going to go through some stuffing. That helps the not show, you don't show the string, and it helps to tighten it up a bit. And then go right back in the same spot again. You're gonna come out another area, and this time you pull gently, make sure that the colored yarn is through, and then I'll go down here. I like to do it at least 2 or 3 times. Just give it a nice secure hiding there. And now that's ear number 1, and we're going to do ear number 2 on the other side. I feel like I should start at the marker and go back a bit farther. In the beginning I thought they were a little too close together. I might be off by 1 stitch, like I said, because of the way the coils go. Now I'm just wasting your time here. I might just make this a little quicker and poke it through. I don't even know why I do it this way. I'm going through both sides when I'm sewing it on there. Anyway, I just have that knot. We'll make this is going to be the back of the head now because I'm putting the knots at the back. But I feel like I should be starting right here. I feel like this is more of the center. And it's going to come back through both of these. Most people probably can just sew a straight line, but for some reason I like having the marker there. Helps keep me in check or in line, whatever way you look at it. Just try not to go through the black marker, or else it's going to be harder to pull out when you're finished with it. I'm going to go one. Take the marker out now. Anyway, do my last one on this way. And of course, I like to catch the end of it, just pull it out a little more. Stretch it out somewhat more. And then I'm going to go right back into the bottom. I'm going to sew back along underneath just to give it just an extra little strength. You never know how hard these ears are going to be tugged and pulled on by whoever owns the bunny when it's done. Cat thinks he's getting away with something laying on my laptop here. Never allowed to do this. And now we're going to hide the yarn inside again. First one, you're going to give it a nice little tug to get that knot inside. And then you're going to do a few gentle, try to change direction slightly at least. Make sure you go through the stuffing. And then at the end, you do need to give an extra little tug just to make sure. So now, there's my floppy little ears. Now I'm feeling like That's going to be the back, and this is going to be the front. So we're going to mark, or not, I'm not even going to mark, I'm going to put his eyes in. We're going to need a piece of the black string. Doesn't even need to be this long. I tend to overdo it with my strings. I like to have a long piece of string to tie in at the end when I'm done. Now I'm just going to go for it here. The eyes should be down around just above the middle of the face. The nose should be down an extra row under. So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll do on row 7. We'll do the eyes, and then we're going to put them kind of close to the ears. I'll do in here, and then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 stitches over. That'll be a good first one. Leave a nice little string for tying in after. Oops. And we're going to leave 3 in between. So we're going to come back to where we first started here, and then we're going to go 1, 2, 3 in between, and we're going to come out right here. And that's going to be the second eye. And then we're going to go over 3, 1, 2, 3. And then in order to make the eyelashes, I don't like to go straight up into this one here in case the yarn can tend to pull a little bit. So I'm going to go over to the next stitch on a little bit of a kitty corner there and do the second lash first, and then I'm going to go kitty corner back to where the first one should have come out. And you could do 3 lashes, however many lashes you like. We're going to come out all the way back to the second, 1, 2, the second hole here on that side. You can go back here and then work your way back over if you like. You don't have to go the whole way. And that's going to be our eye. You can give it a little tug. And now, that's going to be the first eyelash, and this will be the second one. So in this case, I'm going straight up and down, and then I'm going to go through a little bit of stuffing. You don't want the black to show in behind. We'll see how this works. I usually go, yeah, I don't like that, sorry. I'm going to go. In order to get it out cleanly, you have to pick it with the needle. That's how you live and learn. I didn't like the way that was going to look. You can put any eyes on here that you like. You don't have to copy the eyes that I put. I'm going to go right back all the way to the end where I started out, the same as on the other one here. And then we're going to go our little kitty corner. And then we can go, because before I was coming out this little spot, I needed to be coming out here. And then I'm going to go kitty corner right back to there again. And then I'm going to go straight back in here. And I do want to come back out this hole, but I don't want to tug these threads in any funny manner. So I'm just going out that way, and then I'm going to go back through some more stuffing so I don't just carry the yarn right back through the hole, and then come right back to where I started. And then this time I'm going to give it a little tie, a little knot, and then we're going to hide the yarn in the back. This black yarn that I'm using is a little thinner than the other yarn I'm using, so you can, if you think they're too thin, you could go through it twice or use a thicker yarn. Just use whatever you have handy. Now we're going to pull both strands through, one shorter than the other, so like that. And then go back and make sure that it's not being tugged too much. And then we're going to go through another time, and then we're going to separate the strands here. This one here can be cut now. And then I'm going to sew this one And another couple. Just have to be careful with the black thread that you're not going too close to the surface because you'll see it through the white. And that's all. There's my funny little eyes. I ended up tugging this one a little too much, you can see. Let's go back with your needle and give it a little stretch there. And now we're going to do the pink nose. Now, once you do the nose, you can draw a little black line. You can do whiskers. You can add anything you like. I was just keeping it as simple as I can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go, I left 2 in the center here, so I'm going to go down 2 rows from that, maybe even and then pick up 2. And that might be too close. I think I'm going to go down this one and pick up 1. And what you want to do is you just wind the yarn. Oh my gosh, look how much I took. I took way too much pink yarn here. And we're just going to go in and out here a couple of times. Give it a You can make it in a diamond shape. You can make it in any shape you like. I'm just going to go through this about 4 or 5 times. Build it up a little bit. I got this too short. What is that, 3? Try to make it a little tight so it doesn't come off after when it's being played with. And do 1 more. And then to get back to the beginning there, I'm going to go back in, make sure I pick up some stuffing on my way, which is a little tough because it's a small spot. And that last one. Tie it off, and then we'll sew in the ends. I'm actually gonna cut some of this off. It's kind of crazy. We're gonna pick up this other end on our way. And then we're gonna sew this in. Pick up some stuffing, poke the needle down. There we go. And that's just a simple little face. You can do any face, like I said. I'm going to go back through another time with the 2. Oh, there, one's gone now. Cut this one off. And then take this guy through a couple of more times, and then that going to be the end of the bunny head. I'm just in the process of making the body for this one, so it's not going to get sewn on. I don't have anything to sew it on right away, but in the other video where I make the dinosaur head, I show how to sew the head onto the body, but that's our little bunny head. Now I'm going to show you how to do the bear. I've already made the circle for the bear, so you just have to go back and follow the pattern, or the if you don't have the pattern watching the video, you're going to go back to through the video and make the ball, and then where I told you that we would change colors if it was the bear, then you want to change colors at that point. So in order to make the bear, we're going to have to make the ears. And that's the only extra piece you need for the bear is the ears. We're going to sew in the eyes and the nose as well. So I'll quickly show you how to make the ears. All right, we're going to make the ear. You're going to need 2 of them. So I'll show you the first one here, and then you can rewind the video if you need to watch the second one. If you don't, you have the pattern in front of you. So we're making a magic circle. In the magic circle, we're going to have 6 single crochets. It's 2, 3, 4, I'm moving out of the way, 5, 6. I'm going to tighten up the thing, and because it's the top of the ear here that's going to show, I like to give a nice little knot. And now in round 2, we're going to do 2 single crochets in each stitch around. So starting with this one here, I'm going to put my stitch marker in after the first one. That's 1. We're going to have 12 stitches around when we're done here. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and the last stitch will be 11 and 12. In round 3, we're going to do another increase. We're going to do 3 single crochets, and then we're going to do 1 increase. So this will be my first single crochet, 2, 3, and then we'll do an increase. And then 1, 2, 3, and then an increase. At the end of this round, we're going to have 15 stitches. 2, 3, and then the increase. So then for rounds 4 through 6, we're just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So if you want to do that for rows 4 through 6, you can go ahead, and I'll meet you back here. Okay, I'm back. I'm at the end of row 6, and I'm going to slip stitch into the next stitch beside, do a little chain 2, and I'm going to cut off a tail to sew the ear on. My tail's probably about 10 or 12 inches long. You can tuck the extra little thread inside, and then that is going to be our little ear. So now, by this time, you should have 2 ears. You can, or sorry, you could pause the camera after this one, make the second one, and come back. At this point, we're going to be sewing the ears on probably about the middle of his head. But what I like to do is to take my black string, or in this case, because it's dark, you could use white as well, just some contrasting color. And I like to try to mark approximately where I'm going to put the ears. So if this is the center of the nose, I like to go back through the top here, and then probably 3 stitches over is where I'd like my ear to start. Actually, I want to go back. I'm going to go 3 stitches over, but from the center, I probably would like to go back another row. So I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I'm probably going to go in this row here. I'm going to sew my ear that far back, and then it's probably going to take up about 5 stitches. So, but I'll leave 4. You can see 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches in the middle there, just to give it. This is just to give an idea. And then on the other side, we're going to try and follow the same line, but because we're doing in a little bit of a spiral here, the same line, if you don't have the head turned exactly the right way, the same line might not apply. So just to be sure. And then from the center, I said we were about 3 stitches down. So 1, 2, 3, that's more like 4. So from this center, we're going to go down 4 stitches along the same line. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's where we're going to mark. I didn't load my needle here. So we're going to mark for the other ear. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4 into the 5th stitch. It's just an idea of where I'd like them to go. Now I'm going to take my ears and put them on the spots where I marked and see. Oh, they seem a little far apart for me, so I'm going to take this string, I'm going to go back a couple. And then this string, I'll go back a couple. I could have taken it out and done it again, but I didn't want to lose my row that I was on here, so I'm going to go back another 2. Now that's going to be my marking, and 2, 3, 4, 5 in between. I like that better. I'm going to do this guy through here. You kind of have to play around with it a little bit till you get the exact spot. I like that. And then I'm going to bring this guy back 2, even though I did that guy only 1. And there we go. Now, put my little ears here. That looks a little bit better to me. All right, then you're going to thread the needle for the first ear, just like I was doing for the bunny. I like to close this up before I start sewing, so I just kind of zigzag through it a couple of times. Even though you're going to do both sides anyway, I still like to close it up a little bit there. And I want the little knot that I had to be at the bottom. So I'm going to be trying to sew along this straight line. I'm going to go in this stitch. Try not to sew through the black, and then I'm going to pull the edge here up so that it's not tucked in. I'll pull that out a little bit. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start sewing through the stitches around the edge. I'm going to go around both sides. I just didn't want that little gap to be showing there. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of the back of this row. And then I'm just going to go back and forth. And you can do it a little bit loosely and then give it a good tug at the end. Just like to do both sides. It helps it stand up a little bit better. Heading down towards this black thread here. And then on this one, you see the little knot in there. I'm going to pick the yarn up in front of it, and I'm going to go on the outside of where the black yarn is. Give it a nice little bit of a tug. See that it's standing up. Now we can take the black thread out. Again, we're going to pick up the little end piece here so it doesn't, if you don't do that, then these ends kind of get tucked under a little bit. So then we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to go underneath and then come back underneath here and this way underneath. Try to let these edges stay out so it hides our actual stitches. That's why I'm pulling it back a little bit as I go here. Oh, I do that. I wasn't watching. There we go. And then right back underneath again. Make sure you pick up 2. Look at this. Hopefully you're doing a better job of this than I am. I got my yarn split entirely. Let's make sure I have it through entirely before I do that again. Now we're picking up 2 strands. And we're going to go right back out here, right to the edge, because we're going to be tucking that all in with us. And then you see the ear stands up because we did on both sides. And then always I like to pick up the outside edge I'm going to do my knot through here. We're going to be hiding this knot, so oops. Now I'm afraid to put my yarn too close to the edge. Just give a nice tight tug, and then this knot we're going to pull right back through here. We'll go out here through the back of the head. You can give it a nice little tug to make sure that's hidden down there. And then now we're going to loosely take the thread through the stuffing. Make sure you go through a couple of layers of stuffing a few times. And then out through the back. And that's how you sew the ear on. You can go ahead and sew on your other ear, and then I'll meet you back here and we'll do the little eyeballs. Okay, now we're finished with our little ears. We're going to be making the eyes and the nose with the black thread. I cut a strand of thread that's probably about 2 feet long. I always overdo it a little bit, so you can cut your own length that you like. And what we're going to do is we're going to measure where we want the eyes to go. So starting at the middle of the snout, we're going to go back, and I'd probably like them to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows back from the eyes, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. It's about halfway between the eyes and the snout. And because this is the middle, we're going to have to leave a gap of at least 3 stitches in the middle. So I'm going to go over 2 stitches. We're going to start the first eye here, and then we're just going to come right out in here. We're going to let that be our first eye. And then I'm going to be making it on a little bit of a hexagon shape. So I'm going to go from here up. I like to go through a little bit of stuffing up on this side, and then I'm going to come back through here, and I don't want to go straight across, so I'm going to go to the other angle that I want to come out. So you can make them as big or small as you like. You can make them any way you like. I don't want that to be too tight. And then I'm going to come right back in here where I went out, and then I'm going to skip over 1, 2, 3. I'm going to have to skip over 4 because this is going to be where the top part goes. So I'm going to come right over here. Oops. Come out this guy. And then 1, 2, and the third one. I'm going to come up on the angle here where I want that side to come out. And then I'm going to go all the way over to this. I like to do it a little bit more of a crisscross pattern so you can't see the black underneath. And then I'm going to come out here. The next thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing the little cross on his nose, and I like that to go from the bottom of here to the top of the row above. So I'm going to end up coming out a little bit to the side here. I'll show you where I'm coming out right here because I want the top part to go from here to there. So we're just going to finish. Oh, what did I do? Sorry. Got that caught in there. We're going to go across, and then we're going to come back up through the bottom here. So I wanted to span over an extra stitch in the middle, so I'm thinking this is good. It's going to be right between where the eyeballs are, and we're going to come out underneath the middle circle, but right about in the middle. We want that to be the top of his little snout, and then we're going to go in that stitch that we left in the middle, and we're going to come right through some stuffing, right back up through the eye where this thread is, because we're going to be tying those 2 threads together, and that's going to be our. Do you know what? I could have went over top of the thread there. I don't like that little gap in between, and now I've tightened up the thing. So sometimes you have to play with it a little bit. I like it like that, and then I'm going to go over the top of it before I go through stuffing and back out through this eye. Yeah, I like I like the way that looks better, and that's going to be his little face. So now we're going to tie the yarn twice, and again, you could do different colors. You could make his nose round. You could do whatever suits you. So I keep losing my thread out of my needle here. Of course, my yarn was too long, as always. I'd rather have it a little long than too short, but now you got to pull the needle up until you can thread both strands of yarn through. I could have even left this one a little bit longer, but what we're going to do is we're going to go back through exactly that first hole, and we're going to come out somewhere over here. Make sure you go through the stuffing and then pull both of them out. I don't like to tug too hard on them. And then when that happens, that you tug too hard, you just have to go back with your needle, loosen them up a little bit before you tighten this anymore. Just give everything a little loosening up. Now this yarn here, mine's not long enough. Usually I like to put it through another time. I'm going to cut that one, and then this one will put back in and go through a couple of more times through the stuffing, and then I'll come down here before I tie it off. And there we go. That's the little bear head. He's going to go on top of this body when I finish the little feet and the hands, and that's going to be the bear. You could have made the ears white. You could do whatever pattern you like. I'm just showing you the way that I do it. So that's the bear and the bunny, and they're both made out of the same pattern for the ball. Just one has a little different color in the front. And that's the end of this video. I'm going to mark on this video where you would go to make the body and to find out how to sew the head on the body. And I'll mark the times in the comments. So if you like to make those, that's those two. I'm going to do next the cat and the owl in another video, and I hope you like it. Thanks.